Right now, at this very moment, Manchester United are preparing for their first game in 24 days. 24 days of silence on the pitch. 24 days while rivals kept playing, kept winning, kept building momentum. And what do United get as their comeback fixture? Not a soft return, not a gentle easing back in. They get Leeds United at Old Trafford in a derby, and it does not stop there. While United were away, Daniel Farke was busy. His Leeds side just qualified for the FA Cup semi-finals. They are fresh, they are confident. They are coming to Old Trafford with something to prove, and a manager who is already standing in front of cameras telling his players they need bravery and courage to win there. At the same time, Casemiro is saying goodbye. Bruno Fernandes is speaking about a Premier League drought that stretches back to 2013. Matthijs de Ligt is not yet on the grass. Harry Maguire is suspended. And behind the scenes, transfer decisions are being made right now that will shape this entire football club for the next 3 to 5 years. This is not a quiet Sunday in April. This is Manchester United at a crossroads with everything moving at once and every decision carrying real consequences. Stay with me because today we are going through every single story, every quote and every transfer development, and I'm going to tell you exactly what it all means. Before we go through every story in detail, let me tell you why today's news matters so much. Manchester United are sitting at a crossroads. The squad is being shaped. Key players are speaking publicly about the club's direction. Decisions are being made right now about who stays, who goes and who comes in. The summer window is approaching and the conversations happening today will define what this club looks like next season. And if United get these decisions wrong, the consequences will be felt for years. If they get them right, there is a genuine platform to build something serious. If you want deeper analysis on stories like this every single day, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel is dedicated to breaking down Manchester United news properly, not just reading headlines, but actually understanding what is happening and why it matters. Now let us get into the full breakdown. Michael Carrick on Champions League spots. Michael Carrick was asked about the confirmed news that the Premier League will now have 5 Champions League spots. Here is exactly what he said. He said, "It is great. It is where we want to be, first and foremost, not so much the other teams, but it is important. The more opportunities we have for that, the better. We would obviously like to finish as high up the league as we possibly can, and to have so many English teams involved in it and in that competition pushing, it then benefits the teams in the league. And overall, it is fantastic. But overall, we get quite selfish when it comes to things like that. It is where we want to be for ourselves more than anything. Now, here is what this really means. What Carrick is doing here is very deliberate. He is not getting carried away with the broader picture of English football benefiting. He is narrowing the focus immediately to Manchester United. The phrase he used, "we get quite selfish," tells you everything about his mindset and the mindset he is trying to build at this club. 5 Champions League spots changes the mathematics of where United need to finish. It gives this rebuild a little more breathing room in terms of the final league position required to qualify. So what? Carrick is not using that as an excuse to settle for 5th or lower. He is saying clearly that they want to finish as high as possible. To me, that ambition is non-negotiable for him, and that is the correct attitude. The reality for the club is that Champions League football is not just a sporting achievement. It is a financial lifeline. Without it, signing the calibre of player United need becomes significantly harder. Carrick understands this, and his public messaging reflects that he is treating qualification as the absolute minimum acceptable outcome. Daniel Farke, ahead of the Leeds United game. Leeds United manager Daniel Farke spoke ahead of the derby at Old Trafford. Here is what he said, word for word. He said, "To win at Old Trafford, you need bravery. You cannot just sit back and park the bus hoping to survive. It is important to press them at times, control possession and create chances. At the same time, you need balance. They are very dangerous in attack, so being compact and well-structured defensively is key. But above all, you need courage. Let me break this down for you. Farke is not coming to Old Trafford to defend, that is clear. He is telling his players and the watching world that Leeds intend to be an active and aggressive opponent. For United supporters, that should actually be a concern rather than a source of comfort. A team that parks the bus and defends deep is often easier to break down than a team that presses and tries to play. When a visiting side commits to pressing and controlling possession, it creates space in behind for United's attackers, yes. But it also means Leeds will not simply sit off and allow United to control the tempo of the game from the first whistle. The word that stands out most in Farke's statement is courage. He used it twice. That is not accidental. He is setting a psychological tone for his team. He wants Leeds to go to Old Trafford believing they can win, not just survive. United need to be prepared for a team that will make this genuinely difficult. Bruno Fernandes on Shea Lacey. Bruno Fernandes spoke about young Manchester United talent Shea Lacey. Here is exactly what he said. He said, I coached Shea Lacey when he was doing his B licence with Juan Mata and Harry Maguire. He was 14 years old. I told him he had changed, that he had become a man and that he listened more today than he did back then. But we could already see that he had something different from the others. Here is how I see this. Bruno Fernandes is a captain who leads by example both on and off the pitch, and his words about Shea Lacey carry real weight. When a player of Bruno's experience and status says that someone had something different from the others at the age of 14, that is not throwaway praise. That is a considered observation from someone who has been around elite football environments for many years. The fact that Bruno crossed paths with Lacey during a coaching licence course alongside figures like Juan Mata and Harry Maguire shows just how integrated the Manchester United ecosystem is. This is a club where the connections between the senior squad and the academy run deep. Bruno noticing Lacey at 14 and now publicly speaking about him in such terms suggests this young player is genuinely regarded as someone with a serious future at this club. Casemiro on what he will miss most. Casemiro was asked what he will miss most about Manchester United. Here is what he said. He said, the fans, 100% the fans. The affection they have for the club is what I will miss most. Of course, the club, but the fans are so connected to the club regardless of the result. Next game, they will be there supporting the players and the club. That is what I will miss most. Let me give you my honest take on this. These are farewell words. Casemiro is clearly on his way out of Manchester United, and what he has chosen to highlight speaks volumes. He did not talk about trophies, training facilities or teammates. He talked about the fans. That is a genuinely emotional response from a player who has experienced the unique atmosphere that surrounds this club. What also stands out is the phrase he used, regardless of the result. He is acknowledging the loyalty of the United fan base, even through one of the most difficult periods in the club's recent history. That is a respectful and honest acknowledgement from a player who has been part of some very tough moments at Old Trafford. The reality is that Casemiro's departure, whenever it is confirmed officially, represents the end of a chapter. He arrived with enormous reputation and delivered some important moments. His exit will need to be managed carefully, and United will need to ensure they have the right midfield profile ready to fill that defensive role. Casemiro on the defensive midfielder role. In another interview moment, Casemiro spoke about what a young defensive midfielder must learn. Here is what he said. He said, I believe a centre midfielder, especially a defensive one, is the most important position on the pitch. It is where everything happens and what links the whole team together from attack to defence. For me, the focus has to be there, and being concentrated on every touch is crucial. You have to stay focused in every moment, be aware of all the players around you and understand the decisions others are making. That is why, for me, it is the most important and also the most difficult position in football. Here is the part most people are missing. Casemiro is not just talking about his position. He is laying out a philosophy, and in the context of Manchester United's current rebuild, his words take on added significance. The club needs to find a successor to him in that defensive midfield role, and Casemiro is essentially defining the standard that successor must meet. The awareness he describes, knowing every player around you, understanding decisions as they happen in real time, maintaining concentration on every single touch, these are elite-level cognitive demands. This is why finding the right defensive midfielder is one of the most complex and important transfers United can make. Casemiro is essentially passing on wisdom through this interview, and someone at this club should be listening very carefully. Bruno Fernandes on Manchester United's Premier League drought. Bruno Fernandes spoke with great honesty about the club's wait for a Premier League title. Here is exactly what he said. He said, the last time the club won the Premier League, it was in 2013. That is too long for a club like Manchester United. Going so much time without winning the Premier League is not normal. As a player, you have to understand that the fans, their expectations will always be that we win the Premier League. As players, that is what you expect when you arrive at Manchester United. It does not change. I know people will say you are going to earn more money. Now, here is what this really means. This is a captain taking responsibility on behalf of the entire squad and the entire era. He is not deflecting, he is not making excuses. He is looking directly at the uncomfortable reality that Manchester United have not won the Premier League for over a decade and calling it what it is, abnormal. For a player who has been at the club through multiple managers and multiple eras of struggle, these words carry a weight that most players would never be comfortable saying publicly. Bruno is using his platform to set an honest benchmark. He is saying to the fan base, we know this is not acceptable and we are aware of what the expectations are. That is leadership, That is a captain's mindset, and it reinforces why his presence and his mentality matter so much to this rebuild that is currently taking place under Michael Carrick. Bruno Fernandes on Harry Kane. Bruno Fernandes was asked about Harry Kane's decision to leave Tottenham for Bayern Munich. Here is what he said. He said if he had stayed at Tottenham another 1 or 2 seasons, he would have been the best goalscorer ever in the Premier League. So would he have been a legend or not? He would. He decided to go to Bayern, and the decision is good because he knows he has a big chance of winning trophies. And now we are talking about Harry Kane, that is scoring the same amount of goals he was scoring at Tottenham, but he might win a Ballon d'Or now because he is going to win trophies. Let me break this down for you. Bruno is making a broader philosophical point about football and legacy. He is saying that individual records mean less than trophies when it comes to true greatness. By praising Kane's decision to prioritise winning over records and personal milestones, Bruno is revealing his own values as a player. This also indirectly speaks to Bruno's own situation at Manchester United. He has stayed through the difficult years. He has consistently chosen this project over what other clubs might have offered. His admiration for Kane choosing trophies over records at Spurs tells you something about what Bruno himself believes he deserves and expects from this club going forward. Bruno Fernandes on why players join Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes gave a fuller explanation of the mentality behind choosing Manchester United. Here is exactly what he said. He said, as players, we have that expectation when we come to Manchester United. It does not change. I know people will think you are going to get more money, you can get better contracts. No, you come to Manchester United because you want to win trophies, because money you can get anywhere. A lot of clubs in the Premier League pay well. A lot of clubs in Italy, Spain, they will pay you a lot. But you come to the club because of the history, because of what you want to achieve and what you think you can achieve. Here is how I see this. He is speaking directly to potential signings as much as he is speaking to supporters and journalists. He is defining the identity of Manchester United as a destination, not a financial decision, a legacy decision, an ambition decision. In the context of the transfer market this summer, this kind of public statement from the captain matters enormously. When agents and players are weighing up options, hearing the club captain speak about Manchester United in these terms with such conviction about the history and what can still be achieved, that is powerful. This is Bruno doing genuine recruitment work through his words, and the club should be grateful for it. Injury update on Matthias de Ligt. Michael Carrick gave an update on the rehabilitation of Matthias de Ligt. Here is exactly what he said. He said, just treatment and rehab. The reason he did not come to Dublin, he is not quite on the grass. Patrick came with us, and Patrick is at that stage a little bit further on. Mata is not quite at that stage yet, so it was important for him to continue his rehab, really, and try and get him back. There is nothing else really around it. Let me give you my honest take on this. De Ligt is not yet training on grass. That is a significant detail. It means his return is not imminent, and United will need to manage his absence carefully. With Harry Maguire suspended for the Leeds derby, the defensive options are being stretched. Carrick's comparison between Patrick and Mata is telling. Patrick has progressed further in the rehabilitation process and was able to travel to Dublin for the training camp. But De Ligt is behind that curve. United supporters should not expect to see De Ligt available immediately, and Carrick is being transparent about that rather than offering false hope. This places even greater importance on the younger centre-back pairing of Aiden Heaven and Lenny Yoro, who could be asked to handle the physical challenge of Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the Leeds game. Transfer news, Marcos Senesi situation. It is now clear that Marcos Senesi's representatives are in active contact with Manchester United, Chelsea and Tottenham. He is described as being close to making his decision about his next club. Here is the part most people are missing. Senesi plays for Bournemouth and has been one of the more reliable defenders in the Premier League this season. The fact that 3 major clubs are in contact with his representatives signals that there is genuine confidence a deal can be done. However, the competition from Chelsea and Tottenham is real, and United cannot afford to be passive in this process. This is still at the stage of agent conversations. Nothing has been agreed and no club has been chosen. But the situation is developing quickly, and United's recruitment team will need to move decisively if they are serious. João Gomes chooses Liverpool. It is now known that João Gomes, the Wolverhampton Wanderers midfielder, is keen on a summer move to Liverpool. He has reportedly chosen Anfield over interest from Chelsea and Manchester United. Wolves value him at £60 million, though relegation could push that figure lower. Now, here is what this really means. If Gomes has made up his mind that Liverpool is his preferred destination, United should not waste further energy or resources chasing him. The reality is that a player who does not want to come will not give everything once he arrives. United need players who are hungry to be at Old Trafford, players who share the values that Bruno Fernandes spoke about publicly. The £60 million valuation is a serious number. If Wolves are relegated, that figure may drop, but the principle remains the same. If Gomez prefers Liverpool, that door is effectively closed for United. Casemiro and Inter Miami are reportedly in talks to sign Casemiro on a free transfer this summer. The offer on the table for the Manchester United midfielder is a contract running until December 2028. Let me break this down for you. His farewell words about the fans were not accidental. He knows his time at Manchester United is coming to an end. Inter Miami represents a move to Major League Soccer, which is a common destination for elite European players entering the final stage of their careers. The fact that the contract offered runs until 2028 suggests Inter Miami are serious and committed to making this happen. For United's planning purposes, this means the search for a replacement defensive midfielder is not just a summer priority, it is an urgent one that needs to be addressed with clarity and speed. Elliot Anderson and the World Cup strategy. Now let me go deeper into the Elliot Anderson situation, because this is a genuinely fascinating story that reveals how modern football recruitment actually works behind the scenes. The situation is this: Manchester United are hoping to use their connections within the England national squad to gain an advantage over Manchester City in the race to sign Nottingham Forest midfielder Elliot Anderson this summer. The specific plan involves senior United players Harry Maguire, Marcus Rashford and Kobbie Mainoo using their time together with Anderson at the 2026 World Cup to build a relationship and make the case for Old Trafford. Here is the part most people are missing. This is not an unusual strategy for United. The club previously recruited significant England players like Rio Ferdinand and Wayne Rooney following major international tournaments. The World Cup environment creates a unique opportunity for genuine relationships to form between players from different clubs over an extended period. Elliot Anderson is 23 years old and has had a remarkable season at Nottingham Forest. His form has attracted attention from both Manchester United and Manchester City, which tells you everything you need to know about the level of talent involved. Nottingham Forest want a bidding war. That is also an important detail. They are not looking for a quick and quiet sale. They want maximum competition between clubs so that the final fee is as high as possible. That means United cannot afford to simply match City's offer financially. They need an edge. And the personal touch of having players like Maguire, Rashford and Mainoo speak to Anderson as fellow England internationals is exactly the kind of edge that can make the difference. Manchester City will also have their own England players at the World Cup. John Stones and Nico O'Reilly are both expected to be in Thomas Tuchel's squad, and they could make the case for City in the same way. The reality for the club is that this signing will not be settled by money alone. Anderson's personal ambitions, his desire for trophies, his relationship with the players around him at the World Cup, these are the factors that could genuinely decide where he goes. And United appear to understand that, which is why they are being proactive about using every advantage available to them. Alexander Pavlovich, the door is firmly closed. Now let me address the Pavlovich situation head on, because there has been a lot of noise around this name. The situation is crystal clear. At Manchester United, Chelsea, Manchester City, Real Madrid and Barcelona have all made inquiries about Bayern Munich midfielder Alexander Pavlovich. Every single one of those clubs has received the same message in response. He is not available, he is not for sale. He has no interest in leaving. The 21-year-old German international is regarded as one of the finest young defensive midfielders in world football. His development at Bayern Munich has been exceptional, and the club views him as a long-term cornerstone of their midfield. He has scored 3 goals and added an assist in 31 appearances in all competitions this season. Let me give you my honest take on this. It is genuinely good information gathering to have checked on Pavlovich's availability. That is responsible recruitment. That continuing to pursue a player who has been told by his own camp, by the club and by his own preferences that he is going nowhere would be a waste of time and resources. The silver lining here is that the existence of 5 clubs at that level, all pursuing the same position, tells you something important. The market for elite defensive midfielders is extremely competitive. Finding the right profile at the right price in the right window will require creativity and precision from United's recruitment operation. Casemiro's departure is now looking increasingly likely. Pavlovich is unavailable. The Elliot Anderson pursuit is about a different type of midfielder. United need to identify who the realistic alternatives are and move on them before the summer window becomes a scramble. Let me bring all of this together, because when you look at everything that happened today, a clear picture of Manchester United emerges. The manager is focused and ambitious, talking about Champions League qualification as a personal mission rather than a collective hope. The captain is speaking publicly with honesty, leadership and values that define what the club should stand for in the recruitment market. One of the most experienced players in the squad is preparing to leave with grace and with genuine affection for the fan base. The defensive unit is stretched ahead of a difficult derby, transfer targets are being pursued with mixed results, and the summer window is shaping up to be one of the most consequential in years. The evidence suggests that the foundations of something real are being built here. The language coming from Carrick and Fernandes is consistent, ambitious and honest. That combination is rare and valuable, but the work is still enormous. The midfield needs serious investment to replace what Casemiro brought. The defensive options are thin, while De Ligt continues his rehabilitation, and the competition for key targets like Anderson is fierce and intelligent. Manchester United are not there yet. But today's news, taken in full, shows a club that at least knows where it wants to go and is taking deliberate steps to get there. That is your full breakdown for today. Thank you for watching Emma United Analyst. If you found this useful, please subscribe, leave a comment with your thoughts on any of these stories and share this video with a fellow United supporter who needs the full picture. See you in the next one. Come on, United.